This is what erupts into Pajamagate. Yes, an article literally used that name.
Alexis Sunshine 83, it's always sunny here.
Hey Sunshiners, Alexis Sunshine 83 right here. So today I wanted to talk about fashion dupes, knockoffs, and specifically something that recently came up, which is the Djerf Avenue controversy. Lainey Ozark did make a video at the beginning of the year about dupes, so definitely check that out after this video. I think the Djerf Avenue brings up a lot of interesting parts and how people have changed their opinions on dupes being right or wrong, and I want to talk about it. Before we get into it, let's define what a dupe, knockoff, and counterfeit is. A dupe is an item that has qualities or similarities to a designer item, but doesn't copy logos or trademark features and isn't trying to trick consumers to thinking it's the real thing, which is legal. A counterfeit or fake is an item that copies trademark details and logos to pass itself off as the real thing, which is illegal. A knockoff is defined as a carbon copy of a design, but not in the same way as a counterfeit because it doesn't have the logo. Honestly, I saw a lot of back and forth about what a knockoff is because some people say it is basically another word for counterfeit, and then other people say it's another word for dupe. And from what I gathered, it's as similar as a counterfeit item without the logos, kind of what I already said, but basically that it isn't trying to fool the customer. In my personal opinion, I feel like dupes have kind of turned into what a knockoff is. Like, before it would be, you know, similar, maybe both of the, for example, a top being floral. Maybe they're both floral, but different floral patterns, different like sizing. Maybe it is the same color, but again, there are enough differences that you would know that they're different. Whereas now I feel like dupes are really just a carbon copy to where now they are copying the specific type of design of the floral, the size of the floral, the placement of the floral, etc. I don't know if this is just me, but the word knockoff versus dupe, like one of them sounds better than the other. A knockoff sounds bad. It sounds like you are stealing something or the design is stolen, whereas a dupe kind of, I don't know, it kind of sounds like it's just as good. Like it's a great option as well. Maybe it's just from being on TikTok and seeing so many dupe videos where my association with the word is different than a knockoff, but dupe definitely has a more like glamorous look. Whereas if you said knockoff, it kind of has a negative undertone. I mean, you can see that with the amount of dupe videos on TikTok or even Instagram. Like, people have made their entire social media presence just about sharing dupes from Amazon and different fast fashion retailers. I did want to mention that there's some things that are quite general, quite basic, that I feel like a dupe of it. It's just, for example, like a gray blazer. You know, like they may both be gray and they're a blazer. I feel like every company sells a gray blazer and you're really just getting a different quality of that. Fashion does not have the same copyright protection as other creative media such as art, literature, and film, which means that fashion designers are vulnerable to having their work copied. Getting a patent for a design is expensive. It can take up to 2 years, and I'd say even just having a design up for a month makes it possible for different fast fashion brands to copy your work. There is a deeper conversation within this. Anytime somebody does push back on dupes, they are met with comments saying not everyone has over $100 to spend on the original, and it is elitist to assume people can afford designer clothes or always shop ethically. Maybe an unpopular opinion, but I think everyone deserves clothes that makes them feel good, that fits them, that is cute to them. You know, I love clothes. Lots of people love clothes. It's literally art. But I think people do sometimes get a little entitled, specifically with small businesses. I mean, if you go on any small business that is sustainable and ethical, and especially like hand-making items, even sweaters, oh my gosh, the handmade sweater small businesses usually will always have comments saying that they're classist or that they're scamming people because they're charging over $100. But for them to even be sustainable and ethical, they have to charge those prices because they're factoring in so many things that fast fashion brands don't factor in.
An independent designer is saying that she and still own their designs. I see comments like this where they're like, your dress is X amount of dollars, I would never pay that, I'm going to buy the $11 version. And I'm not judging people for shopping fast fashion when they can't afford a more sustainable alternative, but it is messed up to attack someone for trying to pay themselves a living wage and then go and say you want to buy the $11 version when you know it's made by people who aren't paid enough to live.
93% of fast fashion brands don't pay workers a fair living wage. A lot of people don't see the value of clothing, the value of how long it takes to make an item, especially a well-made item. But a lot of people have been conditioned that if it's over $15, that is a scam, that is not worth it. Of course though, there's something else that has made us even more into getting a good deal and wanting lower prices, and that is living is expensive. Fast fashion is all most people can afford, and there is a big movement from brands to put the blame and responsibility on consumers, and it should not be. We are all just trying our best, and yes, it's important to do what we can do, but even if your wardrobe is 30% secondhand or sustainable, heck, even 10%, you're doing something. And I know that's a controversial take, but I think it's realistic. However, if you had a clothing brand that you poured your heart, your soul, your money, just for it to be ripped off by Shein or Amazon, you would be upset. There is definitely so much more to this, and I'm sure I missed something, but I wanted to at least mention a disclaimer before moving on. Also, I have bought dupes before. I bought the wannabe disco pants from Forever 21. I had the fake Uggs from Walmart, and I recently bought dupes from a shoemaker on Etsy. I am not perfect. Nobody is perfect. I don't want this video to be seen as shaming anyone. It really is just to look at how dupes are interacting with the current fashion industry. Buying copies used to be seen as taboo. The whole point was for people to think it was the real thing. And now I would almost say it's seen as embarrassing to buy the real thing, and it's more of a positive if it is a dupe. Throughout history, knockoffs of designs at a cheaper price have existed. FIT had an entire exhibit in 2014 called Faking It: Originals, Copies, and Counterfeits, where they featured the real designs next to fakes, and some of them dating back all the way to the 1920s. Now, most people don't have the income to be spending $1,000 on designer pieces, which is how trends trickle down to normal consumers, basically being inspired by or copied by middle to low price point stores. But to me, the boom of the dupe was with makeup. According to Know Your Meme, the oldest known YouTube video using the phrase dupe was in 2008. We see real versus dupe makeup videos all the time now. Some brands are a little bit more obvious, like Makeup Revolution. I'd say makeup dupes are seen in a way more positive light, especially because maybe the formula is actually better, or that other brand has your skin tone. Doing Amazon fashion or Shein hauls on social media has been a thing for a while, but it definitely skyrocketed in 2020 on TikTok. I think we are all aware of the House of Sunny Hockney green dress or the strawberry dress. Both rose in popularity very fast, and it showed just how powerful and how fast fashion brands are in creating copies. In this article by Stylecaster, the journalist explains the dress kept selling out and By that point, everyone had it, and she wasn't big on buying what everyone else is already wearing, but after seeing a creator share the Amazon dupe, she went ahead and ordered the $25 one. There were some differences, but she ended up loving it so much that it made her want to buy the real thing. She ended the article with, "I highly recommend snagging an inspired piece like this one to see how you feel about an item if the real thing is particularly pricey. You might find yourself wearing it so often that justifying the splurge becomes easy, or you'll find it was more of a trendless moment and be glad you didn't shell out on that dress everyone else is wearing." Trends are moving faster than ever, so it doesn't make sense for some people to spend $100 on a piece of clothing when maybe next season, heck, maybe next month, they will be told that it's outdated and they should stop wearing it. As silly as it sounds, repeating a clothing item or wearing something that is outdated is considered unfashionable to a lot of people. So with the rise of dupes, it just makes sense for fashion creators on TikTok that are trying to gain an audience. I came across a TikTok that said cowboy boots are out and moto style boots are in. I just started my love affair with cowboy boots. I spent money on the cowboy boots. I searched for the cowboy boots. It has been a journey to collect them, and I will not throw them away. With everything I mentioned in this part, I think it 100% makes sense that dupes are definitely seen in a more positive light than they used to be, and it just makes sense for a lot of people to go with the cheaper alternative. And with the rise of dupes and fast trends, it's like they kind of are growing together.
Nobody actually allows a trend to be completely fleshed out, and they're taking it so fast. And when they take the trend, they're also lacking the creativity to make it towards their customer or to tweak it, that now dupes are becoming like stitch for stitch, design for design, which then turns it into a knockoff. Only reason bigger brands are okay taking design stitch from stitch now is because the general population is now okay with knockoffs.
Okay, now on to why I even wanted to make this video. So if you don't know, Matilda Djerf is a Swedish influencer who became an it girl for her luscious locks and simple style. Now having over 3 million followers, she captured an audience that loved everything and anything about her. She's been quite open about personal matters, which I think made her even more appreciated and relatable to a lot of people online. In 2019, Matilda founded the brand Djerf Avenue with the goal of creating a fashion brand that would stand the test of time. Djerf Avenue sells blazers, skirts, dresses, swim, and even bedding. Most of her styles are in neutrals, and I'd say it's elevated basics. She basically created a brand that is her. Like, it screams Matilda the influencer, and that's basically what they're selling. They're selling that image and the Djerf lifestyle. They even have a community tab on their website that they called Djerf Angels. Djerf Avenue has always come across as sustainable and ethical, or at least the way that they make it look. Trying to figure out if a brand is actually what they say can be very difficult and a rabbit hole, but on their Instagram, it does say ethically produced in Portugal, Sweden, and Italy. They say that they never retouch their models and carry sizes from extra, extra small to 3XL. I do have to acknowledge my bias because I own 4 things from Djerf Avenue. I have 2 t-shirts, one of the fruit pattern bathing suits and the fruit pattern bedding, all of which are nice. Like, they are all pretty good quality, at least those pieces that I've tried from there. And I have also met Matilda Djerf at the LA pop-up, but I'm gonna try to be as neutral as possible. Most of the pieces that Djerf Avenue sells are pretty timeless, basic pieces. Like, you could probably thrift most of them, and I'd say most brands sell similar things, but you have the influencer name and from what it has seemed like, pretty good quality. Now, I wanted to touch on the quality aspect because if you're shelling out over $100, you want it to be made well. And there have been some inconsistencies for customers. Like, there's an entire Reddit thread just from customers detailing inconsistencies with quality of the Djerf Avenue pieces that they have gotten. And all of those are from a year ago. And it's not just like one piece they had that there's like a thread loose or something. It's like multiple Djerf Avenue pieces that they've gotten that have had an inconsistency in quality. I've seen TikToks before this controversy detailing uneven stitching and just it not making sense for the money that they had spent.
To all of the girlies out there that own the Breezy top by Djerf Avenue, let me know if this has happened to you. So I'm wearing this top. It cost over $100, and I noticed that almost all of the buttons have cracked off. Number 1 is cracked, number 2 is cracked, number 3 is cracked, along with number 4. Number 5 somehow is fine looking, and then number 5 is also cracked off.
Before I even put this on, this is like what's all over the shirt. All of these seams are coming out.
Another big complaint, especially right now, is a lot of the items are made out of recycled polyester. I did want to mention that there is a mix. Like the fruit pajama set is made out of 98% tensile lyocell and 2% elastane. A note that elastane is not sustainable since it doesn't biodegrade, but in another dress of theirs, they do use a bio-based elastane that will biodegrade. The Dream mini dress is 55% Cupro. Oh my gosh, I'm so bad at pronouncing things. I apologize. It's not a perfect material, but it's particularly ethical when compared to traditional silk. And the Summer Island dress is 100% organic. I really wanted to mention the material part because that has been a really big comment that I've seen on TikTok, basically saying that everything that Djerf Avenue sells is 100% polyester, but it isn't, and in most cases is recycled. I'm not trying to be a spokeswoman for Djerf Avenue, really. I don't see myself ever purchasing from them again. I think it's important to at least correct that.
Maybe a third to a half of the items they sell tend to be made out of the majority polyester, which tends to be recycled. Sure, that's great. Recycling, awesome. But it really isn't sustainable. I mean, especially for the price, it really should be something like lyocell, tensile, even rayon, wool, kind of anything. Polyester is plastic, essentially. I mean, not essentially, it's plastic. So every time you wash a piece of clothing that's made out of plastic, it's going to release microplastics into the water.
Even though most of their pieces are solid, they did introduce a fruit pattern, I think over a year ago, that gave dreamy summer and a cottage feel, selling it on tube tops, bedding, and recently they created another fruit pattern for pajamas. Fruit pattern is not a new concept. Heck, I have been talking about how much I love fruit pattern for the past couple of years, and even Lisa Says God had their own fruit pattern loungewear sets because it's been quite a trend in the past couple of years. If you search Djerf Avenue fruit pajamas on Amazon, there are loads of, honestly, I'd say knockoffs just because they are literally exactly the same. Where the fruit is placed, the color, they even use the same postings from the Djerf Avenue website, all of them ranging in material from 100% polyester to 90% polyester. There have been many TikToks raving about these fruit pajama dupes, some comparing the real thing to the dupe, and others actually stating that now that they've tried the dupe, they want to try the real thing. And this is what erupts into Pajamagate. Yes, an article literally used that name. I couldn't find the exact date when this happened, but beginning-ish of October, TikTok creators wake up to copyright strikes on their Djerf Avenue dupe videos. Most of the videos that had gotten this strike were showing the specifically fruit pattern pajama Dupes, and after creators had shared what happened on their TikTok, Matilda ended up deactivating her personal account. Djerf Avenue responded to the backlash on their Instagram story, stating there's been a surge in websites selling products with our design and owned prints / artworks. In response to it, we have an external intellectual property firm monitoring copyright infringements, and they have realized it has inadvertently impacted individual accounts. They have instructed the IP firm to halt reports from individual accounts and focus on third-party sellers. We don't know if Matilda personally wanted to go after these TikTok creators or even knew the IP firm was gonna go after TikTok creators, but regardless, the damage had been done. Many are now bringing up instances of her duping other brands like this striped top, and how Djerf Avenue is just a copy of clothing she's worn from previous brands. I've seen multiple TikTok and comments criticizing Matilda for not wanting people to dress like her and how hypocritical it is as an influencer, which again, it seems to just be mainly the fruit pattern pajamas and not other pieces, just from what I was able to find. There is an example though that did get a strike that we'll talk about in a second, but people are saying nothing Matilda has done in her career has been original either. One comment mentioning people share dupes all the time and that it's actually promotion for Djerf Avenue in a dupe video. There's definitely been comments on the other side saying, why is it bad that she is trying to protect her work? I think if the firm had only targeted these Amazon listing dupes, it would have gone very differently. But now people are buying these dupes out of spite of Matilda and boycotting the brand as a whole. Something to also mention is a lot of these creators that share dupes will list them in their Amazon storefronts. So they do make a commission from people buying these dupes on Amazon. Not everyone, like I think showing that you bought a Djerf Avenue dupe just because you really liked the pattern, but you couldn't buy the real thing and you're just sharing how excited you are, I think is a different thing. But there is a different side where it is a business for people to choose the dupes over the real thing. And maybe that's why the firm went after individual creators, because they are making money off of the copy. Djerf Avenue sent a message to creators they had given strikes against, explaining their hand-drawn prints are copyrighted under the company Matilda Djerf Designs AB. Any types of videos / content with our prints that are used on non-Djerf Avenue items such as dupes will automatically be reported. I've seen some people say they don't actually have a copyright for the fruit pattern, others saying that they do, so we'll just say they have some sort of authority of this specific fruit pattern. As frustrating as it is to see creators raving about a dupe of one of your products, it is never a good idea to go towards those individuals. You should be going after the people that are actually selling it. And like I said, there are instances of creators that had gotten a strike from Djerf Avenue when they weren't even sharing dupes.
So I just woke up to this, which is a trademark warning from Matilda Djerf. And if you followed me for a while, you know I've made videos, like I've been a fan for a while. She's even commented on stuff. This one where I was like, recreate a Matilda Djerf Pinterest look with like a $5 Amazon top, which again, never called anything like even alternative. I just was like, here's a cheaper option if you can't afford like the expensive top. And it wasn't even her brand.
Another one coming from a creator who has praised the original Djerf Avenue fruit pajamas. And in the video that had gotten the strike, it was showing a similar dupe of fruit pajamas as Djerf Avenue, but the fruit pajamas didn't look anything like the Djerf Avenue pajamas. Like they were literally just pajamas with fruit. So some instances make more sense, but others definitely, I don't think were showing a copyright infringement. TikTok creators have also shared how getting a strike interferes with their growth and their content not being pushed. It seems like the brand is trying to keep Matilda's name out of it and keep blame off of her, but it's her brand and it's literally her name. And I think that's kind of the bittersweet thing about these influencer brands, especially when they are heavily featured. There also have been an influx of stories regarding interactions people have had with her, from Reddit to TikTok, saying she was rude, wasn't kind. Once something negative has happened, it's inevitable, almost like the floodgates open, that any small controversial thing that you've done, or maybe big controversial thing you've done that maybe everyone kind of swept under the rug, it will be brought back up. As of right now, people are questioning if Djerf Avenue and Matilda will be able to move on from this, especially after losing trust and with new knockoff allegations coming out against them. I think she'll be fine. She has a cult following, and at the heart, there was validity to them trying to combat copies. They just directed that towards the wrong people, and especially small creators. Like, people were willing to spend the bigger price on Djerf Avenue because they admired her. They admired the ethics of the brand. They believed in it. And now all of that is kind of being brought into question. I wanted the last section of this video to be about why some dupes are okay and others aren't, because I was quite surprised from the Djerf Avenue controversy how many people were writing hard for Amazon. Like I stated in the disclaimer, I'm not trying to come for anyone that buys from Amazon, especially buys Amazon fashion. Like, a lot of times these days, you can't even find things in store. You have to get it on Amazon, and there's a multitude of reasons why people need that more affordable option, and there's legitimate businesses on Amazon. But I just feel like the opinion of Amazon has changed. Whether it's the rise of Amazon storefronts or people wanting to know about cheaper alternatives, I'd say for a majority of people, they see Amazon as being better than Shein. And can we all remember, literally probably only a couple of months ago, how much the internet was dragging through the mud creators that were sharing the Shein Innovation Tour? Maybe it's because, again, Amazon does have actual businesses, and there's also even small businesses that sell in there. Like, it's not just dupes or copycats or just random bad quality stuff. I just find it interesting that it's looked at in such a different way. One of my biggest issues with Amazon fashion is and all the fast fashion brands do this, it's not just them, but like I said, they use actual photos from the original design and listings of the knockoff copy that they're doing. And one example is I had bought this handmade strawberry cardigan. It was like over $100. It's absolutely beautiful. And they took one of my photos from Instagram wearing it and are using it as the listing photo. They did change the colors, but it's my photo, and I have tried to get it taken down. It's been like over a year. I have reported it. I have tried everything to get my photo taken off of it, but nothing has happened. So I do have, you know, a personal gripe with Amazon fashion because of that. But anyway, back to how different dupes are treated differently. Designer brands, when they are copied or have dupes, I'd say it's more acceptable. Like the Miu Miu buckle boots, Steve Madden. I've seen more people wear the dupe than the actual Miu Miu boots, which I think the originals are like $2,000, I don't know. Whereas the Steve Madden ones are maybe a little bit over $100. However, if Shein made those buckle boots exactly like Steve Madden did, it would definitely have a more negative association. Now, Shein quality versus Steve Madden quality, probably very different. I definitely see those exact boots kind of turning into the House of Sunny Hockney dress, I think just because there's so much detail in it that people are gonna get annoyed that everyone has it and it's going to be outdated and people are going to hate it, which I don't think is a reason to stop wearing something. That is not what I'm saying. But with these trends that then are duped and are exact copies, I would recommend trying to find something that isn't an exact copy and is more inspired. I mean, if you are finding a trend that's secondhand, I always say this, you will most likely not find the exact piece. It's always going to be a little bit different, and I think it helps when that piece does go out of style. It doesn't feel as like stuck in, oh, that was really trendy in 2023, or the checkered print in 2020, the cow print, the wavy colorful print in 2020. Like, that is so specifically 2020, whereas if you had something that was similar but not exact, it has a little bit more longevity. When talking about brands versus Amazon, H&M, Shein, Zara, AliExpress, there seems to be a hierarchy about which one is worse to buy from, when a lot of them are kind of similar. Like, Miu Miu does have a not good enough rating on Good On You. I will say Good On You, like, I wouldn't put it as like the holy grail, is this sustainable or not, but it doesn't seem that they are like the most sustainable and ethical company, especially for the pricing. So what if you buy a dupe of something that is from a brand that's not that good? Like, is it actually better to buy the dupe because all of the companies are bad anyway? Like, does that make any sense? I guess my reason for bringing this up is so many dupes of bigger designer, more expensive brands aren't actually even that different in the ethics and sustainability of these fast fashion brands. When you're taking your money and you're like, okay, I could spend $2,000 to this brand that's not that great, or $50 to $100 on this other brand that also isn't great, but they have the same thing, I can understand going for the lower priced one. A lot of people try to put the purchasing of dupes in this like moral compass thing, but when the brand that made the original isn't even that good, like, does it even matter? I mean, I guess somebody would argue like, don't buy it at all, but if you really, really love the piece and you're like, I'm gonna hold on to this and everything, I mean, I guess there's the quality argument of that too. I do think where most people agree in regards to dupes or stealing a design is when it is from a small business. Okay, I feel like my point was not coming across in this section because it kind of gives off like, oh, maybe we should buy the dupe instead of the original, which is not what I was trying to do. I think I was just sharing how I feel dupes are seen different depending on what company they're coming from. Is it okay to buy a dupe sometimes? Is it not okay to buy a dupe? And I think I should make it clear, it is not okay to steal designs. Obviously. With a topic like this, I think you really get to see my diagnosed OCD, because I just have rabbit holes in my brain of like, what if? Well, what if this? And what about that? Because some dupes are considered okay, others are not. I mean, when we're looking at Shein, which Shein does get a lot of heat, but they are like the biggest fast fashion company. They produce more than anyone, so it makes sense. Also, it seems a lot of times to be small designers, but you even have, say, like Unif, who allegedly a lot of their designs are really, really similar to vintage designs. Which, is that bad? Is that good? Because some of the companies don't make clothing anymore, so you can't buy those clothes anyway. And if you try to find it secondhand, maybe you can't find it in your size. So are they really hurting anyone? But when they're doing a carbon copy, like, why can't they just, I guess, be inspired by it? I think that's the biggest difference, is from inspiration versus a carbon copy. And that's when it's like, ooh, it's a little like muddy waters. And what's being considered a dupe now, or when brands are creating a dupe, they aren't doing what a dupe is supposed to be. They're just replicating it. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna say it. I think dupes, with how they are now, is bad for fashion because it is just replicas and it's all of them doing it. It's not even just like, oh, some of the trends are getting a carbon copy. No, it's like every single trend now is just a dupe for the original. There's obviously talks about, you know, micro trends, fast fashion, the planet. But if you really, really love something and you're gonna wear it and it isn't that like, I'm gonna buy this dupe and throw it away to then get the new dupe, there is a sustainable way to buy fast fashion. Fast fashion will never be sustainable, but I think you can buy it in a sustainable way because buying anything that's new, a new produced item, is always gonna have some sort of carbon footprint, whether it's more than another. Obviously sustainable brands are better, but when we're truly just looking at, hey, I can only buy fast fashion, I think you can do it sustainably. And same with dupes. Like, I think you can buy them. It's the small brand ones that like really get me, and the sustainable and ethical companies that get me, because they are charging those prices, and it probably was really difficult to even have them create a brand and get to where they are because of trying to do it right, and then a fast fashion brand just making a knockoff, a dupe. Like, I don't think that's okay. And I don't think like stealing designs is okay. You see, oh my gosh, I feel like I just need to get to the conclusion of this video because I could literally go on and be like, again, what about this? Well, what about that? Maybe it's a gray area, or maybe it's black and white. Please let me know what you think. Alrighty, you know, talking about fashion dupes kind of reminds me of what's going on with movies lately, where all we are getting are literally just remakes, and it's kind of like, why can't you make something new and original? Why do we want to just keep seeing the same thing? And I think that goes into fashion as well. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I don't know how long this video is gonna be when I edit it, but I'm sure it was a long one, so high five. If you would like to see my face again, then make sure to subscribe right down below and hit the little bell to be notified every time I make a new video. And also don't forget to follow me on Instagram, which is AlexSunshine83. I'll see you in my next video, and I hope you have a super sunny day. Bye.